All right, so the Raiders have won the toss and will be receiving. And Lee Johnson set to kick it off for Cincinnati. Napoleon Kaufman and Rocket Ismail, the deep men for the Raiders. And it is like Lee Johnson doesn't like the football. I don't know.
He's saying that it's flat, and you can bet that kickers know that. Now, those footballs are given to the officials, and they're supposed to be inflated to 13 pounds, but they're not going to give him a new football. He's got to kick the flat one.
And we're underway. Kaufman tries to sidestep a man and does at the 20, then racked down at about the 23-yard line. Tackle made by David Dunn after a 15-yard return to the opening kickoff. Jeff Hostetler on the field with a second-ranked offense in the NFL. A veteran offensive line, both Wisniewski and Gogan have been to the Pro Bowl. Center Dan Turk is 11th season first as a starter. Hostetler had the bye week to get healthy. He has 10 TD passes, 5 interceptions. Williams, the leading rusher. Brown, a Pro Bowler, the top receiver. And on passing downs, we'll see Hobbs come in as the third wide receiver, replacing the tight end. Here's a pitch on first down to Harvey Williams, who crosses the 25 to the 26, where Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson knocks him to the turf. Cincinnati's defense ranked last in the NFL. Up front, Copeland, third in the AFC with 7 sacks. Wilkinson has 5. Leading tackler Steve Tobar is injured, replaced by Wallerstadt at linebacker. He gets his first start. The secondary has been toasted with regularity. Sawyer starting for Rod Jones today. Jones will come in as the nickelback. Wide receiver formation for the Raiders. Hostetler sacked at the 20 by James Francis, the linebacker.
Nobody touched him. Francis, when he began his career, was a big pass rusher for the Bengals. They put him back in coverage, but this one, he just goes right by the offensive tackle. There's no design to block him, so he's right in on Hostetler. First sack of the day goes to Cincinnati.
And the crowd getting into it. Francis with a sack. 27th for the Bengals this season. Nickel defense on for Cincinnati. Hostetler hands it to Williams. Harvey's to the 25, where Rico McDonald stops him.
Now that's a new aspect of the Raiders offense too. That's the old counter gap series that Joe Bugle, now the offensive line coach, brought to this Raider team when he was at Phoenix, formerly at Washington. A little setup drive there. Didn't start very well by the Raiders, but then throughout this season, they've not started very well.
They're one of the worst in the league on first drives of the game. That's Corey Sawyer awaiting Jeff Gossett's punt. Sawyer had the key fumble of a punt late in the game against the Browns last week, which Cleveland won in overtime. Sawyer fields this one safely, dodges one man, got a block, and brought it back to about the 44-yard line. 5 yards on the return, but the punt only covered 37, so the Bengals starting with great field position. Cincinnati's offense, the best passing offense in the NFL, and injuries are a real problem for the offensive line. Rookie free agent Anthony Brown gets a test under fire today. Blake leads the AFC, 17 touchdown passes. He's thrown 6 interceptions. Pickens, the #1 AFC receiver. Deep threat Darnay Scott has an injured ankle. We'll keep an eye on him today. Jeff Blake keeps his offense in base most of the time. No passing down substitutions. Blake falls down, gets up and makes the gain out of it close to midfield. That is one of the stranger quarterback draws I've seen lately. Chester McLaughlin pinned him.
Yeah, you know how hard it is to practice that draw? Generally, when you're in a situation like this, the quarterback's foot will get caught with a guard or center pulling. Yeah, it's the center sets his foot. Derek Brill sets his left foot, gets it on top of Jeff Blake's, but it's positive yards.
5 positive yards, as a matter of fact. Blake handing off to Harold Green. And Green stopped for no gain. Rob Fredrickson made the tackle. Oakland's defense will line up this way, and you'd be hard-pressed to name a better defensive line than that one. All but Smith have been to the Pro Bowl. Outside linebacker Mike Jones, a former running back, leading tackler for the Raiders. And There we see it, and a good secondary too. McDaniel and Lewis, Pro Bowl corners. Number 2 tackler Eddie Anderson out. Joe King starting at free safety today. Blake is sacked. Pat Swilling with his 6th sack of the season, approaching 100 now for his career.
And a year ago at this time, Pat Swilling told us he was at the bottom of the barrel. The Detroit Lions had benched him and then told him that he was not going to play anymore. He jumps right inside Sergeant 77. This guy is extraordinary. And he was there as fast as Blake was there to set up. That's how good this pass rush is.
Swilling 5 times to the Pro Bowl, his best years with the New Orleans Saints. Lee Johnson, who leads the league in net punting yardage, 40.9, sends it toward Tim Brown. And a high booming kick, which will sail out of bounds somewhere around the 10-yard line. They'll mark the angle, and they're going to spot it about the 15-yard line. Johnson didn't think he got a very good spot, but they pin the Raiders deep. Each team a sack to open the game. And it's 0-0 early in the first. The NFL on NBC. Welcome back to Cincinnati, where both teams went 3 and out on their first possession. Hostetler and the Raiders pinned back at the 15-yard line after Lee Johnson's 43-yard boot.
Interesting to hear Jeff talk last night that if they hadn't made some change in philosophy, he was going to force the Raiders' hand, going to do something. Wasn't going to retire, but he's going to make him trade him or do something.
That's what he said, force the issue. We quizzed him on what that would be, and he sort of smiled and said, I don't know, there'd be ways, but I couldn't stand another year of that punishment. Swings the pass complete to Derek Fenner, the former Bengal, close to the 20-yard line. Give him about 4 or 5. James Francis pulled him down.
Now, this is a small point. Now, on the sideline, Don Mosbar, center, still recovering from an eye injury when he was gouged in the eye. It's his left eye. He wears sunglasses. And one of the most durable offensive linemen in the league. He was an offensive tackle in college. The Raiders converted him to a center, replaced by Dan Turk. You said it in the lineup. Waited 11 years for his first start at center.
Was primarily a long snapper, though. He said he came to camp every year thinking he could compete for the starting job, just now getting the call. Here's Harvey Williams. He's just short of the first down by about a yard. James Francis, his 2nd consecutive stop.
We mentioned that both of these teams have trouble in their opening drives, and for the Los Angeles Raiders, look at that, 9 possessions, no touchdowns. Bengals only 1 with just a field goal. These teams, is it safe to say, start slowly?
Yes, they do. Mike White's team trying to get a first down. They send 2 tight ends. It's 3rd and less than a yard. And they give to tailback Harvey Williams, and he is short. James Francis again makes the tackle, but there is a penalty marker. Williams tried to get airborne, and the Bengals would not allow it. Here's Red Cashin.
Before the snap, full start, number 78 on the offense. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
That could actually work in the Raiders' favor. They'll get another chance.
I agree with you. Skrepenak, the offensive tackle, near side. Yes, he is quick off the ball. And Red Cashin and his crew catch it. Notice there the Raiders had an extra offensive lineman there playing tight end. But I agree with you. 3rd down and 6. There's a lot more plays available to you.
And it looked like Williams had been stopped, so the penalty could work in the Raiders' favor. Let's see. You see the offensive lineman pointing, the Joe Bugle technique, pointing who they're going to block. 4 wide receiver formation. Hostetler, quick drop. He hits Tim Brown. And that'll be a Raider first down to the 36-yard line. Roger Jones victimized for 18 yards.
Victimized. That's a phrase used a lot with his Bengal defensive backfield. Tim Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, and has learned what you have to do to become a premier receiver, and that is accelerate out of the break. They're a little square in pattern, single coverage, separates from Jones, makes the catch.
So the penalty does work in Oakland's favor. And they have a first down at the 36-yard line.
Whoops.
Hostetler fumbled it, bounced right back up to him, and he dumps it to the tight end Glover. Andrew Glover is close to another first down. It's going to be about a yard short at the 45. Roger Jones, the tackle.
See, this is the new philosophy of the Raiders. Jeff said last night, I was taking 5-step drops. My receivers were running 7-step patterns. Well, I mean, the quarterback's got to wait. Now it's a timing. It's a rhythm offense. 1, it gets it to a lot more people. You spread it around. 2, it keeps moving the chains. 3, it keeps him upright.
And he's perfect 3 for 3. Williams on the counter play, ditching a couple of would-be tacklers and upended in Bengal territory at about the 43-yard line by Darrell Williams. 13-yard run for Harvey Williams.
Excellent blocking up front by this offensive line of the Raiders. Very good. And Harvey Williams showed great patience there. Watch the way they wait for everybody to get out. You see Wisniewski pulling, Perry pulling, good blocking. Williams waits just for that key block, then gets upfield. This kid's turned out to be a heck of a running back for the Raiders.
After Kansas City had more or less given up on him. First down, Williams again. Made another nice cut. He's done to the 35-yard line. Brett Wallerstedt gets his first tackle of the day.
I think if you look at the Raiders' offense, the first thing that comes to mind is it's a much more patient offense. In previous seasons, there were just so many plays they could go before they'd go with the bomb. And there's the brain trust. Joe Bugle on the left, Mike White in the center. They're the ones who have installed this new system.
Bugle actually was hired before White.
Yeah, isn't that something? A good acquisition. I'm sure Mike White was very happy about that.
Take it to Williams. Hostetler throws it short of Tim Brown and incomplete. Remember, this drive began all the way back at the Raider 15-yard line. They had a third and about 2 feet and apparently were stopped, but a dead ball penalty gave them a 3rd and 6, which they converted. And the drive continues now with a 3rd and 3.
And Tom, there's one other piece of this puzzle. Jim Fossil, who is called the offensive coordinator, came from Denver. There he is right there. That's Jim Fossil. He had to be convinced by Mike White that he could come in and instill some offense, put some offense into the Raiders system.
Penalties down, a false start up front for the Raiders will set them back 5 yards. It'll be 3rd and 8 now instead of 3rd and 3.
Didn't really have much time there to finish up, but Jim Fossil was the offensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos.
Before the snap, false start. Number 78 on the offense. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
Skrepenik, second time.
But when he was approached by the Raiders, there is this Raider reputation that you go in as a coach, you coach their playbook. And Fossil, who is one of those guys who is a protege of the West Coast offense, he did not want to do that. White convinced him, no, we're putting in a new system.
3rd and long, 8th play of the drive.
Audible.
Brown motion, they set trips left. And Hostetler drills it complete to Darrell Hobbs, who caught it in traffic. Then Corey Sawyer takes him down. 11-yard gain, penalty marker down, and a scuffle breaks out.
That's the one thing that hasn't changed about the Raiders. They're still nasty.
Send them up to nearby Dayton here for the peace talks.
Personal foul which way? Raiders. Well, didn't Mike White tell us that Al Davis said to him, one of the things I want you to instill is more discipline in our football team. We take too many stupid penalties. It was
in this order: win, more discipline, and step it up in practice.
Yes. This is after the play is over, so the catch was made, so it'll be a first down. They'll move it back 15 yards, and they'll probably start first down at about the same spot. Now, Tim Brown is talking to Red Cash, and the play was over.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 66 on the offense. 15 yards, still 3rd down.
Oh, that's what Tim Brown was arguing. That was a dead ball. The play was over. Give us the first down. Set us back 15 yards. We go from there.
Kevin Gogan called for the personal foul. Mike White gets the explanation. And once again, a 3rd down and long for the Oakland Raiders.
Bengals have been horrible stopping 3rd downs. Just horrible.
They have their nickel package on the field. Got away once, twice. He'll run with it and be chased out of bounds at the 40-yard line. James Francis took him out. Good pass coverage for the Bengals that time. The receivers were covered. Hostetler had to run as best he could, and it brings up a punting situation as the Bengals roar on third down for a change.
They did get some pressure on him, ran a little stunt. Looked like they had a linebacker, McDonald, around the corner, flushed Hostetler from the pocket. Hostetler's a tough guy. He was recruited to Penn State as a linebacker, so he can take some hits.
Gossett will punt. Sawyer and Bieniemy, twin safeties. Fair catch called for by Sawyer, and he hangs on at about the 12 or 13-yard line. 27-yard punt by Gossett. We're still scoreless in the first. Tom Hammond, Bob Trumpy from Riverfront Stadium. Jeff Blake and the Bengals involved in a scoreless first quarter with the Oakland Raiders. Oakland just had the ball almost 5.5 minutes and came up empty. Cincinnati begins from its own 13. First down run by Harold Green, and a good one. Green is across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Chester McLaughlin, the tackle. Well, there is a game going on in Cleveland today. We might have forgotten about that. Greg Gumma, what's going on?
Well, Tom, our Cleveland viewers will be interested to know that all the talk of a possible move hasn't bothered the Browns on their opening drive. Eric Zier, 4-yard touchdown pass to Andre Rison. And in the first quarter with the extra point, Cleveland leads the Oilers 7-0. Tom?
All right, Greg. And Trump, you saw the rookie Zier last week. He's going to be a good one.
Yes, he is.
Jeff Blake somehow got away to get an extra couple of yards from the grasp of Chester McLaughlin, but could not get the pass away. Good coverage downfield.
A follow-up on the Cleveland Browns and Eric Zier. Andre Rison got well against this Bengals defense. Chester McLaughlin gets off the ground to make this sack. 91. You see, he was down on the ground. Jeff Blake, not a big kid, but he breaks the tackle or runs through the tackle of Chester McLaughlin, a Pro Bowl player, 320 pounds. He is a tough, nasty dude.
And Jerry Ball at 3 1/4 right next door. 3 wide receiver formation, quick drop and a strike by Blake to Pickens. Now they say no catch, incomplete, that he trapped it.
That's a great matchup all day. Pickens, one of the new, young, great receivers in this league. Albert Lewis always has been considered one of the great bump and run, single coverage defensive backs in the game, and Pickens is looking at the big screen up here to see if, in fact, it was no catch. He didn't seem to complain much. Again, just a quick slant. Does he hang on to it? Well, I think he does. He doesn't catch it cleanly, but I don't know that it ever hit the ground.
All right. Well, Lee Johnson will punt to that man, Tim Brown. Brown from the 39. Nowhere to go, hemmed in and taken down by special teams coverage of the Bengals after a 42-yard punt, only 4 on the return. Wallerstedt the tackle. We're scoreless, the NFL on NBC. Number 67, Dan Turk, leads the Raider offensive line to the line of scrimmage. First down at their own 43, scoreless in the first quarter. Harvey Williams found a seam, takes it to midfield. Tripped up by James Francis. Dan Turk opening the way, a man who has spent his whole life waiting for a chance to play. He's number 67. You see him opening the way here.
A big block there on Rucker. A good combination. The thing that helps him when Mospar got hurt, he's got 2 all-pro guards playing next to him. Gogan on one side, Wisniewski on the other. But this guy is loving every minute out here as a starter. Every single minute.
A big smile on his face. Hostetler under pressure, threw it away. Best he could do with James Francis in his face again.
Tom, that was the same formation, and there's no one there to block James Francis. And again, there is no contact. He is right in the face. There is always a hot receiver. Tight end releases. No one comes out. Hostetler sees him. Wow. They got to fix that. And now it's up to Jeff Hostetler to fix that. He's the guy who is calling the plays. We got to fix that formation somehow with motion to get Francis away from the line of scrimmage so he doesn't come in there untouched.
3rd and 3 for Oakland. Williams driving ahead for the first down. He's to the Bengal 43-yard line, covered by Roger Jones. First down, Oakland. Harvey Williams now has carried 7 times for 46 yards. And again, Dan Turk in there blocking. Turk grew up in Wisconsin, as you see Joe Bugle, his offensive line coach. And his parents were divorced. His mom moved to California, so Dan and his brother lived in a Milwaukee apartment by themselves in high school. And as he was a senior, contacted by recruiters, he didn't really understand the scholarship process. And they kept asking him where he would go to school. He said, I can't afford to go to school. We'll finish the story in a moment. Harvey Williams banging ahead for another good game. And finally, a recruiter from Drake dropped by the apartment. They had no phone, so no one could call. And he said, Dan, have you decided where you're going to play football in college yet? He said, I just can't afford to go. And he said, no, we pay. So he went to Drake for 2 years, got a little smarter, decided he wanted to go back and play for Wisconsin. He'd always dreamed of that. Walked on at Wisconsin, getting a job to pay his way for that first year, then got a scholarship, beat out a man who had been named All-State ahead of him in high school for the starting center job, and now has waited 11 years for his start in the NFL. End around, the Rocket Ishmael turns the corner, but only gets short yardage before McDonald and Sawyer take him down.
Tom, you told all that about Dan Turk. That's just his college career. There's more. He's drafted by the Steelers in the 4th round, goes there, breaks his wrist. Next summer, walks into Chuck Noll and says, I'm better than Mike Webster. Could be starting. Leaves. And Chuck Noll sends him to Tampa the next day. He suffers a 1-15 season. He's always been a great snapper. So he works on his center skills, but all he's ever been considered is a snapper. When Mosbar gets hurt, this guy is in heaven. Finally, 11 years later, I start.
Talk about paying your dues. Napoleon Kaufman in at running back. Hostetler, first down pass. Wobbly, but complete to Kerry Cash. And the tight end is to the 23 of the Bengals, hit by Sawyer and Jones. Roger Jones.
And there's another look at the new system. He has an outlet receiver. It used to be with the Raiders, there were an awful lot of 2-man patterns. Now, you see Hostetler looking down the field, not open, look like Tim Brown and Rocket Ismail both there. It goes to the outlet. He doesn't have to stand there and take the punishment. You throw it short, let the guys run, pick up a first down. Now that's a 90s style offense.
And Cash is the 5th different receiver Hostetler has hit on that 5 of 7 performance. Pitch the ball back. Harvey Williams. No, it's Kaufman, Napoleon Kaufman, to the 7-yard line.
And this guy has got another gear, this Kaufman kid. Sprint champion coming out of California, went to the University of Washington. And again, up front, you got to give credit to any run like that to the offensive line. Now watch 67, Dan Turk pulling, gets a block on Wallerstedt, the middle linebacker. He's replacing Steve Tovar, this defense's best player.
Boy, did you see Kaufman just blow by the block of Turk also?
Great acceleration.
Oakland's rushed 11 times for 72 yards. Kaufman out, Williams is back. And this is Harvey Williams. Stopped at about the 2-yard line. Burrowing there with James Francis, who's having a big first quarter for the Bengals, making the tackle.
But you know what? This Raider offensive line pushing 2 very big guys around up front. Wilkinson, 99, and also Rucker, 95. The center and the 2 guards, Wisniewski, along with Turk and Gogan, doing a great job of just pushing them right off the football. Look at that. And Turk just eats up the middle linebacker.
Closing seconds of the first quarter as Harvey Williams squirts into the end zone. Raiders made it look easy as they go on the ground. Harvey Williams from 3 yards out for the score. In the dance.
Last week, the Cleveland Browns rushed for 179 yards, 5.1 a rush. I don't think Harvey's touched here. Does anybody make contact with him? Well, there is a little contact by Darrell Williams, but not much.
Raider offensive line, the key to that scoring series for Oakland. And Jeff Jager is on to attempt the point after. Boots it up and through. Raiders cover 57 yards in 9 plays, 46 of the yards on the ground to take a 7-0 lead. We had praised the Oakland offensive line on that touchdown drive. There are a couple of former offensive line members. Dan Mosbar, we told you about, with the sunglasses on, and Max Montoya shaking hands right there, former Bengal and former Raider.
Yeah, that was a sticking point here in Cincinnati. Max had told Cincinnati he would stay here. Then Al Davis offered him a lot of money, and he left. But that began the beginning of the end for a great offensive line here in Cincinnati when Max went to Los Angeles.
Jager's kick, taken by Eric Bieniemy, fumbles it, and it'll go into the end zone.
Yeah, it's a muff, just a touchback.
Yeah, so the touchback. Dan Mosbar, of course, hoping that he is not forever a former Raider lineman, hoping to come back from the eye injury.
We talked about the Bengals scoring, and this offense has put up a lot of yards, and how they've scored reflects, I think, one, the fact that Jeff Blake a little more comfortable in what he's doing, a little more comfortable with his receivers. And remember, too, this is just Jeff Blake's 18th NFL start. So this is a very, very young offense.
They've managed, though, on 2 series, only 6 yards today. Still looking for their initial first down with 12 seconds left in the first quarter. Harold Green, short gain, 3 yards perhaps, with Jerry Ball of a tackle.
Tom, I think Bengals offense here in this first quarter been very tentative. Being careful, I don't blame them.
They've been a little too careful, perhaps. They've gotten nothing at all, and Oakland ends the first on top. Bengals offensive coordinator Bruce Coslett has developed the league's best passing game, but going in reverse today. Cincinnati minus 10 yards passing. Blake 0 for 1, sacked twice.
This is a tough game plan day for an offensive coordinator. Against this defense, he can make, it's good enough to make you look flat and foolish, Tom.
Actually, second down here, 2nd down and 6. Draw play. Harold Green be about 2 yards short of the first down. Rob Fredrickson made the tackle with help from Mike Jones.
Now that's one thing that teams offensively try to do to this defense. The 2 defensive tackles, Chester McLaughlin 91, Jerry Ball 93, really get off on the ball. And what you can do is you can trap them or you can draw them because they're so aggressive across the line of scrimmage. The draw has worked in a lot of instances against these 2 defensive tackles.
3rd and 2. Another draw handoff, and the Raiders ready for this one. Harold Green stopped in his tracks by big Jerry Ball.
Greg Biekert also there, but when you try to run up against this defensive line more than once, something's going to happen. You see the blitz that kind of alters the route of the running back, Harold Green. Jerry Ball right there after being double teamed, getting through the block, makes the tackle.
So for the 3rd time in the game, Cincinnati is 3 and out. Lee Johnson to punt. Blocked, partially apparently, and it'll roll around to about the 43-yard line. It'll only cover 16 yards. It looked like Rob Holmberg maybe partially blocked it off the foot of Lee Johnson.
There were 2 guys there. I couldn't really tell who made the contact, but there were 2 guys right in Lee Johnson's face. He had no chance whatsoever. He's looking around for his mates. Come on, fellas, what's going on? Let's see if we can pick up who made the contact. And I think you call it. It is 57. It is Holmberg.
So Holmberg got a piece of it, and the Raiders once again threatening. They start at the Bengal 43-yard line, already leading 7-0. Holmberg, 57, who blocked the punt. Hostetler on 1st down, swings it complete to Harvey Williams. Williams with a cutback move, another move, and he's down close to the 1st down, gain of 10 before Roger Jones is able to trip him up.
Beautifully done. What is that? That's a completion of a yard, ends up being an 11-yard gain, something like that. I mean, the Raiders have always chosen in the past to get the ball way down the field, but if you throw it short, make the guy run, well, it is just over 10 yards. Another aspect of this new Raider offense.
6 different receiver that Jeff Hostetler has found here in the first half. Actually, it was about a foot short of the 1st down. Hostetler this time goes to Tim Brown. And Brown will score.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. 33-yard Hostetler to Brown. Touchdown. Corey Sawyer looked kind of silly on that one.
Yeah, and Darrell Williams, 31, the safety, also missed it. That only worked in Jim Madison's driveway when I was a kid, you know? With that move. Nice square out pattern. Brown doesn't catch it cleanly, but Sawyer tries for the interception. Doesn't come close. And then watch this. This move right here. That's...
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
He undressed Darrell Williams after Corey Sawyer broke on the football trying for the interception. Jager's extra point is good. So the Raiders take advantage of the block punt. Holmberg blocked it, and they quickly strike to Brown for the touchdown. And the Raiders up their lead on the Cincinnati Bengals 14-0 on this 34-yard touchdown catch. Dave Shula suddenly feeling the cold a little more as the Raiders have opened up 14 points on his Bengals. The last one in lightning fashion.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, it's safe to say that the Bengals are not yet in this league. The Raiders are that much better. They might be in the next couple, 3 years, but now I don't think they can compete.
In the first half, they have outgained Cincinnati 172 yards to 12, and it's 14-0. David Dunn with the kickoff and a seam. And Dunn works his way out to the 46-yard line, where he's finally dragged down by Dan Land, a 35-yard return. James Folson also got a piece of the tackle. Let's go back to Tim Brown's 5th touchdown of the season.
As you watch this pattern run, you see that Corey Sawyer is way inside. The out move is the perfect move to catch. And in the background, just as Brown catches it, head coach David Shula. Fill in the blanks. He's either saying, oh no, or he's saying, oh no, not again. Both apply.
Bengals looking for their initial first down. Oakland has 8. Pressure on Blake. He got away, and he sends it incomplete, intended for Tony McGee, the tight end. Derek Hoskins, good defense for the Raiders.
That's one thing that Blake does very well, is just avoid that initial rush. But that catch should have been made. And a tight end today, Tony McGee, should have a big day. A nice shuffle in the pocket there. Hoskins is right on, knocks it out of his hands. You would hope that the tight end can make that catch.
Jeff Blake is 0 for 2 to start the game, and there's McGee, who couldn't hang on with Hoskins hitting him that last play. Blake down the sideline for Pickens, and a flag. Albert Lewis on Carl Pickens. The two men who race quarter horses galloping down the sideline, and the interference call upcoming.
You see the Bengals do this a lot. Pickens catches it, or they get the flag. Pass interference defense. Albert Lewis could not get his head around, look at the ball. He is complaining.
Pass interference, number 29 on the defense. First down!
Lewis complains, but there is no question that he's not really looking back at the ball. The contact has already been made. That's an easy call.
Very easy. It amounts to 23 yards on the penalty, and the Bengals get their first down.
This is a pattern they call the step and go. And you hope for bump and run coverage. Albert Lewis, being the veteran that he is, tries to initiate the contact, get his head around, but the officials didn't buy it.
Ball at the Raider 31-yard line. Cincinnati trailing 14-0. Blake completes this pass to McGee. And McGee bumped out of bounds at the 25 by Beekert and Jones.
Tight end against this defense should have good days, and you can see that Tony McGee is having an excellent year yardage-wise. He has had some drops, but he's a good sure-handed receiver, a decent blocker, and against a defense like this, the Raiders have a good pass rush, bump and run in the corners. There is room for the tight end to maneuver down there amongst the linebackers.
He got 6 on that completion. Wrestled down by Anthony Smith.
And Tom, let me make this observation. When you watch the Raiders on tape, I don't think there's a team in the league whose defensive linemen make more tackles. Most defenses are set up where the linebackers make the tackles, the defensive linemen strip blockers. You constantly see Ball, McLaughlin, Smith, and Swilling making tackles. It's unprecedented. The only defense that I've ever come across like this is the steel curtain of the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the late 70s.
Bengals have a 3 wide receiver formation on 3rd down and long. Blake, short drop, pass for Scott, and over his head and behind him. Joe King defending on the play, and Darnay Scott really didn't have much of a chance to catch that.
That would have been an awful tough catch. And again, the Raiders have set the clock now in Jeff Blake's head. 1,001, 1,002. I better get rid of it, and he does. And Darnay Scott, one of his favorite targets. This would have been an all-pro catch if he can somehow bring that one in.
Dave Shula saying Pickens has arrived among the elite among receivers, and Darnay Scott's on the verge. Doug Pelfrey on to attempt a Cincinnati field goal. 45-yard attempt. And it just got there. So Dave Shula finally gets some points as Doug Pelfrey connects on the field goal off the hold by Lee Johnson. With producer David Michaels, director Larry Cavallina, Tom Hammond, Bob Trumpy at Riverfront Stadium. Lee Johnson was getting ready to kick it off. The holder on the Pelfrey field goal.
I wonder if the ball is inflated enough to Lee's liking.
Yeah, he looks like he's not happy with it.
Well, when it gets cold, though, I mean, the air compresses. I'm not a physicist here, but the ball compresses because of the temperature. I mean, he should know that.
And Johnson ready to kick it off. We were talking to Doug Pelfrey and Lee Johnson yesterday, and Pelfrey says kickers are a little different. He said Lee Johnson is a lot different.
A whole lot different.
Here's the rocket. Down the sideline to the 43, where he's stopped by Jeff Cothran. 27-yard return of the kickoff.
Well, the Raiders again now start with excellent field position. Anytime you can give an offense that has this kind of potency, just that short field to work. I mean, the quarterback likes it. Mike White, the head coach, likes it. Everyone on that Raider sideline will like it.
They'll spot the ball just short of the Raider 45. First down, 14-3, Raiders leading. Second quarter, 10:54 remaining. Hostetler coming back off the injury against Denver, and the bye week has hit 7 of 9 for 95 yards and the touchdown to Tim Brown. Hostetler going deep for Brown. Can't hold on. Hit him in the hands. Williams and Sawyer defending, but that was a catchable pass.
Yes, it was. That was very well thrown by Hostetler. I'm surprised the flag was not thrown on Corey Sawyer. He reaches out and grabs Tim Brown as he goes by. Hostetler does a great job here looking away and then back to Tim Brown. Normally, Tim Brown will make this catch. Right there in the hands. It's tough because it comes right over his head. But Tim Brown is one of the best receivers there is in the league.
Hostetler thought he had one there. Instead, it's 2nd and 10. Handoff. Derek Fenner getting a rare opportunity to rush the football, stopped by his former teammate Keith Rucker. Fenner is the 4th leading rusher for the Raiders. That was his 25th carry of the season.
Amazing thing, too, when Derek Fenner was here, he was considered a real bad dude. Real bad. And the Raiders were happy to get him. He had some time in Seattle. He's contributed a lot for the Raiders.
3rd and 7. Raiders trying to attack the Cincinnati defense that's had trouble on 3rd down. And this will be a completion. James Jett. No, it's Harvey Williams. Harvey Williams, 22. I thought that one of the Bengals was offside, but I didn't see a flag. Is there one down, Trump?
No. It looked like, I agree with you, it looked like Todd Kelly was offside. Here he is right here. Let's see if he is. Well, he doesn't get into the neutral zone as the ball is snapped, but they're going to rule that Harvey Williams' knee touched the ground back before he converted the third down into a first down. Again, the outlet receiver, the back out of the backfield. Nice catch, James Francis. Knee goes down, contact on him.
Well,
they rule him down there.
And it'll be about a yard short of the first down. Still a discussion. Red Cashin.
They're going to
measure it. Yeah.
Mike White really never thought he was going to be a head coach in the NFL. 59 years old. He takes over for the Raiders. Was an offensive quarterback coach for the Raiders when Jeff Hostetler came from the Giants and moved to offensive line coach. I think he was kind of surprised when Al Davis offered him that head coaching job.
And of course, been head coach in college for 14 years at Cal and Illinois. And there you see it is about a yard short on fourth down. And they're going to go for it. They had Gossett out originally, but after the measurement and some time to think about it, they'll send the offense back to try to pick up a yard on fourth down.
That lead 14-3, showing very little respect for this Bengal defense, would you say?
I would say so. Bengals number 30 in defense in the NFL, so the Raiders say 4th and 1. Why not? Running backs are Fenner and Williams. Cash and Glover, two tight ends. Williams burrowing his way close to the first down. Brett Wallerstedt, the middle linebacker, has had a tough day, makes the tackle, and he will have enough for first down yardage.
But in past years, you used to see the Raiders, they would run behind Gene Upshaw and Art Shell on the left-hand side. Now the strength of this offensive line is Turk at center, Wisniewski and Gogan, so they go right in the middle, right behind Pumbaa, 66, the warthog for the Raiders offense, Kevin Gogan, and that is clearly a first down.
A nice acquisition from the Cowboys was Kevin Gogan. Came over last season. Hostetler steps up, and then the pocket collapses, and Dan Wilkinson, Big Daddy, takes Hostetler down. Second sack.
Hostetler that time looked like the old Raiders offense. He was staring at one receiver. He has to learn to go to the outlet. When he starts that first look, he's not there. Now that second shuffle step, by now he should be finding that outlet receiver. Didn't. Wilkinson makes the sack.
Wilkinson came off the block, and Big Daddy got the sack. 2nd and 16. You see the time left. 14-3 Oakland. Hostetler hit as he got it away, and the pass off the hands of Tim Brown. That was Big Daddy again on Hostetler, and he's hurt. Well, the last two plays had been the kind of pass rush the Bengals expected from Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson, and of course Jeff Hostetler, that blow to the larynx against the Broncos made him lose his voice, made it tough to swallow. Vince Evans was the man that replaced him after he was injured, and Evans warming up now.
Wilkinson is over here on the left. Let's see who he gets by. He's on Gogan. Gets around Gogan, and just slams him to the turf. Those hurt the worst.
Oh, man. His head bounced up off the turf, which is rock hard with the cold temperature, even frosty looking.
Yeah, Wilkinson there just threw Gogan out of the way. There's something that they had hoped Wilkinson would eventually do, has not really shown that, but he beat two guys there, Gogan and the center Dan Turk.
Hostetler on his feet and able to walk to the sideline. Big Daddy put the body slam on him. There's Hoss.
He looks all right, moving around and kind of shaking his left hand there a little bit. Take inventory, make sure everything's coming out of the same spot. All the joints are connected, and then let's start with the fingers.
So the ageless one, 40-year-old Vince Evans, is on to replace him. One of the best relief pitchers in the game, it turns out, at least for the Raiders' way of thinking. Fumble to snap. Evans got it back. Somehow escapes and almost completes the pass out of the hands of Kerry Cash. After all that, Cash dropped it, and he had room to run.
Well, we saw about everything there. He drops the snap, number one, almost kicks it, bounces up right, avoids the sack, then the easy completion. No, son, he's saying to Cash, did you see how much I went through to get that to you? Come on, pal.
Well, Haas still trying to shake off the cobwebs, similar to what happened to Jeff Blake against the Browns last week. Gossett's punt. Corey Sawyer was watch it sail out of bounds. See where they line the angle up on this one. It'll be about the 13-yard line. It's a 38-yard Gossett punt, pinning the Bengals deep. 8:04 left in the first half. The Raiders leading the Bengals 14-3. Jeff Hostetler on the Oakland sideline, suffering from a jammed wrist. He's going to take some snaps and see if he'll be able to return next time the Raiders have the ball. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's ball. They start at their own 13. Hand off to Harold Green. Gets about 6 yards to the 20, where he's stopped by Austin Robbins. Let's go to New York, where Greg Gumbel has another update for us. Greg?
All right, Tom, we'll take you to Cleveland, where the Houston Oilers quarterback Chris Chandler doesn't see the pass play developing, so he turns it up, goes 2 yards for the touchdown with the extra point. The Oilers have grabbed the lead on the Browns. It's 10-7 in the second quarter, Tom.
All right, Greg, and you have to wonder the mindset of the Cleveland Browns players with all the controversy.
No question.
Pitch to Green, looks for a block on the corner, can't get one. And is ridden out of bounds by Pat Swilling, who played it beautifully, got penetration and prevented Green turning the corner.
What a story. Pat Swilling given up for dead last year in Detroit. They labeled him a malcontent. This is a guy who would show you the kind of favor he's caught with the Raiders. Shows up this summer. He's already been elected one of the co-captains. A guy who never stops training. One of the best pass rushers I think this league has ever seen.
From a small town, Toccoa, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. 5 cousins ended up being pro athletes from that tiny town. 3 of them the Swilling brothers, plus Dale Davis of the Indiana Pacers, and a Bengal, Leonard Wheeler, who's a defensive back. Here's Jeff Cothran with a rare tote of the football, and he has a Bengal first down. The first one they have earned. Their previous one came by virtue of penalty. Hoskins and Fredrickson combined to stop Jeff Cothran.
Tom, you see what the Bengals are doing here. This has been primarily a throwing team throughout this season, but in an effort to protect Jeff Blake as best they can, they want to run the ball as best they can, eat up as much clock, keep it close, keep their defense off the field. All those things they feel is a formula for some success today.
I think Dave Shula said, too, that the banging on those big defensive linemen from the run blocks begin to take their toll later. At least they hope so. Harold Green with a short gain before Rod Fredrickson bangs him down.
Yeah, well, this is one way that against a defense of this caliber, your offense is not going to look foolish. And I'm telling you, it's not just the Bengals. The Raiders' defense is good enough they can make you look foolish. They can beat up your quarterback. They can blow up plays in the backfield, sacks, turnovers, and all the rest. So running the ball at least anchors the defensive line somewhat to the line of scrimmage.
Cincinnati's run the ball 11 times, passed only 4. And Floyd Peters, the defensive line coach of the Raiders, has a talented group to work with, and they have been a force today. Blake's pass caught on the rebound by Darnay Scott, and he has another Cincinnati first down. Terry McDaniel fighting for the football with Scott, but Scott with the good hands makes the reception.
And Tom, was that a great throw by Jeff Blake? Pat Swilling is right in his face. They run a stunt. You're going to see 56 come from right. There he is. But Scott, with that injured ankle sprain last week, double catch. Great concentration on the football. Beekert, the middle linebacker, had the coverage. And then Scott makes the catch.
Green lost his footing for a moment, was trying to get a block from Joe Walter, and ends up with a gain of about 5 yards. Albert Lewis, the tackle.
Well, you mentioned Joe Walter. Last week he allowed 4 sacks by Rob Burnett, but Joe Walter, one of the real tough guys in the National Football League, twice had total knee reconstruction, number 63, one on each knee, still playing in the NFL. He is a medical and surgical miracle.
His 11th season from Texas Tech. Blake whips it down the sideline. Scott has it intercepted by Terry McDaniel. Scott was the intended receiver, but the pass was thrown so far downfield that McDaniel got it. There is a penalty marker down, as you saw Blake taken to the turf. It's against Cincinnati, though, so the interception by McDaniel will stand.
Holding number 77 on the offense. That penalty is declined. First down. That's a timeout.
That's all on Chester McLaughlin. Right in Jeff Blake's face. He couldn't follow through. McDaniel's first interception of 1995.
Jeff Hostetler has returned for Oakland after jamming his left wrist. Took a couple snaps. He's okay. Oakland getting the ball after Terry McDaniel's 3rd interception of the season. Here's Harvey Williams, keeping it on the ground for 3 yards or so. Brent Wallerstedt, the tackle, Cincinnati.
Williams, when he was with Kansas City, drafted out of LSU, 1st-round pick. Marty Schottenheimer wanted him at 230 pounds because that was right at the end where they had Barry Word and they had Christian Okoye. He wanted big backs. And he goes to the Raiders. They get him down to 210. Harvey's a lot faster, a lot quicker, and a lot more productive.
Came over last year as a free agent and was the leading rusher for the Raiders. 983 yards. And here he is again. Harvey Williams will be short of the first down by a couple of yards. Dan Wilkinson on the stop. Stay tuned for the second game of our doubleheader coming up. Most of you will see Eric Kramer and the Bears, the surprising Chicago Bears, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. A surprise, I guess, in the other direction. Pittsburgh and Chicago. Some of you will see Buffalo and Indianapolis. Second game of our doubleheader coming up. The NFL here on NBC. 3rd and 2. Hostetler's pass incomplete.
Oh, right through the hands of James Francis.
James Francis had a chance for the interception. Roger Jones was there too. But it'll bring up a 4th down.
I don't know how he missed it. Ismail was the intended receiver, I believe. Watch the right-hand side. Here's Francis. And watch this ball. He's looking at the receiver. I don't know how he didn't make that catch.
An opportunity for Francis and the Bengals defense to get the offense some good field position. Instead, Jeff Gossett is on to punt for the 4th time in the first half. Corey Sawyer awaits it at about his 45. Pressure on Gossett, who got it away in great fashion. Sawyer backpedals 10 yards. Got a block on the sideline and then ducks out of bounds at about the 40, and 9-yard return of a 48-yard Gossett punt. Carl Kidd ensuring that Sawyer went out of bounds. Well, next Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on NBC Sports World, the complete World Professional Figure Skating Championships. You'll see Kristi Yamaguchi, Katarina Witt, Scott Hamilton, a world-class field of skating stars, an encore presentation of the World Professional Figure Skating Championships.
Where was it? You did that. Where was that?
I did indeed do it. It was from Landover, Maryland, and it is some great skating. Kristi Yamaguchi is, for my money anyway, the best female skater in the world right now, and you'll see her in action as well as a host of other skating stars. Darnay Scott has another one sail over his head into the arms of Terry McDaniel. Blake twice has done that, and here's McDaniel trying to get some room on the return, and finally is taken down by Carl Pickens.
Well, that's his last 2 passes go to Terry McDaniel.
He's the leading Bengals receiver so far. Blake has hit McDaniel twice.
That's a nice catch, I might add, too. Was a receiver at Tennessee before they converted him to a defensive back. Always had great hands. Again, Pressure on Blake. He throws it early, intended for Darnay Scott. McDaniel makes the interception. Raiders ball once again. And see, this is what I think the Bengals were trying to avoid.
Right.
Just a bunch of turnovers. I mean, this is what you're faced with if you're the Bengals.
Napoleon Kaufman got 3 yards and a face mask penalty. There's Napoleon saying, yep, they got me by the face mask. Napoleon Kaufman III, by the way, said his mother said she had no say in that name.
Dad was a professional bodybuilder, so he's lifted weights since he was a freshman in high school. He is put together,
Face
too.
mask, number 91 on the defense, 5 yards, still first down.
Wallerstedt got him with a face mask.
Well, they call Wallerstedt, but it's number 70, Artie Smith, that it should be on. I'm surprised that's just a 5-yard
that
variety.
looked like a 15-yard.
Yeah. It was Artie Smith, number 70.
First and 5 for Oakland at the 48. And Kaufman bursting to the clear. Down to the 33-yard line, and another penalty marker on the play. It's back up at the line of scrimmage. That's a 14-yard run by Kaufman that will be called back by a holding.
Man, he got through that hole in a hurry, didn't he?
Woo.
Holding, number 67 on the offense. 10 yards, still first down.
That's our hero, Dan Turk.
Now, what did Dan do?
After that buildup we gave him.
Here's Dan Turk. He's blocking backside, and he's blocking on Keith Rucker. He's not even close. Oh, it looks like he may have. They pulled him right down on the ground. That's what happened. Just body slammed him right down on top of him.
I knew Dan wouldn't really do that.
Not on purpose.
There's the penalty situation as we come to the 2-minute warning. From Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the Raiders 14 and the Bengals 3. Two minutes left in the first half. 14-3 Oakland leading Cincinnati. Got our new jackets on and everything today. You're looking pretty sharp.
Thank you. I think I should grow sideburns over when I wear this leather jacket. You know, we ran a promo for that ice skating. I would love to see you do a triple toe.
Thank you very much.
Have you ever had ice skates on?
It would be fatal. No, I can't even walk. I can't even walk across it to do the work. People would pay money to see me in ice skates. I guarantee you that. It would be comical. Tim Brown, the intended receiver. Haas's Pat came up short, and we'll zip him to New York, where Greg Gumbel has another update.
All right, Tom, from the Meadowlands, Curtis Martin has more touchdowns in the NFL than any other rookie now. That's his 6th from 2 yards out. The New England Patriots lead the Jets 10-0 at the 2-minute warning in the Meadowlands, Tom.
All right, Greg, two teams trying to ease a bit of frustration they've experienced this season. There's Glover receiving the pass from Haas and then thrown back by James Francis and others. James Francis came out here ready to play today. He's had a big first half. Yeah,
played well. Sometimes James Francis is a dominant player on the field. Sometimes there are days when he just disappears. But he's now, in general, lined up on the tight end. Drops a little more in coverage. A lot less of a pass rush.
Hurry-up offense for the Raiders. But they don't seem to be real comfortable with it, and now send a player off the field. At 12 there for a moment. Haas steps up, decides he's going to run, and then changes his mind, and he's hit by Artie Smith just as he lets the ball go.
Oh, he's taking a chance there. Now, you know that pass rush is eventually going to get you. Again, good coverage by the Bengals down the field on this 3rd down. And Wilkinson grabs him a little bit, 99, then Artie Smith, just as he lets the ball go, gets him to the ground.
Jeff Gossett will punt as Haas puts the jacket on. 1:11 to play first half. Pressure on Gossett. Takes a good Raider bounce and is still going down to the 20-yard line. to the 19 and down there. Gossett got benefit of the roll. 39 yards officially on the punt. Stay with us at intermission now. Coming up shortly, the Domino's halftime report. Greg Gumbel with Mike Ditka and Joe Gibbs with scores and highlights and a preview of the second game most of you will see today, the Steelers and the Bears. All coming up at halftime. The NFL here on NBC. Cincinnati only 3 first downs in this first half, one of them by virtue of a pass interference penalty, and Blake's last 2 passes have been intercepted by Terry McDaniel. Do you air it out deep here or not?
I don't think so. I think you want to try to keep the confidence of your team up. I think that would be a mistake.
Blake threw it behind Pickens. Blake is having one of the poorest first halves I've seen him have.
Yeah, and you know what that's from, in part, watching this Raider defense on tape and having 6 sacks against Jeff Blake last week. I mean, when you can change the clock of the quarterback and he looks at a great pass rush and warned by the coaches all week long, we're going to set short, throw quick. You're not going to be back there and put yourself in jeopardy. I mean, it does change the way you perform.
Blake 2 of 8 for 17 yards and 2 interceptions. Facing an Oakland defense playing without starting safety Eddie Anderson. Screen pass complete to Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy dodging and twisting for a first down to the 35-yard line. 44 seconds left, a gain of 17. Mike Jones got him out of bounds.
Yeah, unusual to try screens against the Los Angeles or Oakland, depending on whether they play or practice, Raiders.
I like that.
Because the linebackers are in man coverage so often. James Trapp, 37, fell down. He's the man who was supposed to cover Eric Bieniemy. Bieniemy makes the right choice here inside 2 minutes. Don't fight for inches. You get out of bounds and save seconds.
Well, they are linked both to Los Angeles and Oakland. They still practice in Los Angeles. Blake's pass, a swing pass complete to Bieniemy on the other side, and he gets 9 or 10 yards, taken out of bounds by Albert Lewis.
As a matter of fact, you said they were both connected. It was strange for me to find out last night that for home games in Oakland, the Raiders fly up family members of players and coaches every Sunday morning to the game. Game over, they have a big buffet outside of Oakland Alameda County Stadium. Get on the plane, fly back.
In fact, the team comes up on a 727. It takes a DC-10 to bring up all the family members.
But, I mean, typical for Al Davis and the Raiders, wherever they're located.
2nd and a yard. Jeff Blake.
Watch out.
That looks like a live football. And the Bengals, well, they had it for a moment. Still fighting for it.
I've seen no signal from any official.
Oakland's football. Pat Swilling, the man that knocked the ball loose. And Chester McLaughlin finally down at the bottom of the stack, wrestled the ball free.
And Jeff Blake is saying, my arm is going forward. Red Cashin disagrees with him. Swilling with that outside pass rush. 56, top of the screen, gets around Kevin Sargent, 77. That's a good call. That was, in fact, a fumble. Brills, 65. Brills almost had. Watch Swilling on the right-hand side. Man, he rockets by Sargent.
3rd Cincinnati turnover of the game, and Pat Swilling caused it. Look at the fumbles he has forced. Hostetler drills it complete to Tim Brown. Ridden down at the 24-yard line. Timeout Oakland, stopping the clock with 21 seconds.
So the situation is for the Bengals, last 3 times they've had the ball, 2 interceptions and a fumble. And as I said, this defense can make you look foolish. That's what the Bengals face.
Mike White, Dave Shula on the other side of the field. White and Hostetler, and had the meeting you mentioned at Hostetler's restaurant in Morgantown, West Virginia. Mike White saying that he was impressed that Hostetler wanted to go forward, would be very receptive to a change in offensive scheme.
Yeah, you also saw White talk to Jeff, Bugle talk to Jeff. There's a kind of a committee going on here. They're giving Hostetler as much input as possible. He's making the final choices as to what's going to happen on the field.
Ball at the Bengal 22, 2nd and 7 for Oakland, with 21 seconds left till halftime. 10 of 17, and a touchdown for Haas. Short drop, one pump, looks the other way and throws the ball away. There's the experience of a Jeff Hostetler.
Far side, he was trying for Ismail, and he made the right choice. You know, they're going to settle for 3 points. They'll try for the touchdown, but he doesn't want to throw it up. A possible interception.
And he got rid of it quickly, too. There's still 15 seconds left, so time to go to the end zone once more. Jeff Blake has had 2 interceptions and a fumble, 3 turnovers the last 3 Bengal possessions. Oakland trying to convert this one into points. Nearly intercepted by Andre Collins. Tight end Andrew Glover, the intended receiver, penalty marker down.
From behind the offense, Collins, the linebacker with coverage. Flag is thrown by the umpire. That's going to be holding against the Raiders. I'm betting. Oh, chop block by the Raiders.
Personal foul on a chop block. .11 seconds showing on the clock.
Personal foul, chop block. Number 67 on the offense. 15 yards, still third down.
Our man, Dan Turk.
Not Dan.
Please. Apparently what's happened here is one guy set him up. Oh, and he goes right down on his knees. No question at all. That was on Wilkinson.
That was a good call, and it puts the ball back to the 37-yard line. Now Haas needs to get back into field goal range. Plenty of protection. He zips it complete to Rocket Ismail at about the 20-yard line. Thrown back by Sawyer and Walker, but it's an 18-yard gain, and 4 seconds left. They'll send Jaeger out to attempt the field goal.
Oh, this is an awful nice throw by Jeff Hostetler. Always had a strong arm set. Plenty of protection there. Zip that baby into the Rocket. Yeah, Rocket just runs a square in total protection against a 3-man rush. Steps up, puts everything on it. Lots of RPMs. Nice catch, Rocket. Field goal attempt coming.
Gossett will hold for Jeff Jaeger. He's hit 5 of 7 this season, the longest 37, and this will be a 37-yard field goal attempt.
Well, the Raiders certainly haven't been sparkling offensively in this first half, but they're about to put their 17th point on the board, and their defense is dominating the Cincinnati Bengals. Things are working well for the Raiders.
Kick is up, and it's good. So a 37-yard field goal by Jeff Jaeger adds to the lead. Pat Swilling forced the fumble that resulted in 3 points for the Raiders. And at halftime, well, there's a fight now down around the 20-yard line as the teams prepare to go to the locker room. Finally, they break it up. So, 17-3 at halftime. Now let's send you to Greg Gumbel in our NFL on NBC halftime studio in New York.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Brought to you by Domino's Pizza. When it's gotta be great and it's gotta be now, it's gotta be Domino's.
Welcome, everyone. Those of you who have been watching the Raiders and the Bengals, along with Mike Ditka and Joe Gibbs, I'm Greg Gumbel. Here are the scores and highlights as they stand now in the game that you are watching from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. The Raiders are leading the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 17-3 at the break. Joe, turnovers the big difference in this game?
Well, I think turnovers, and also I think the Raiders are making a statement here. They've found a formula. They're now running the football, which takes pressure off their passing game. Everything works on offense, and it plays to the rock-hard, solid defense. They're putting a lot of pressure on Blake. They've always had that, but now they're rushing the football.
All right, Joe. In Kansas City, the Chiefs against the Redskins. Kansas City leads at 14-3 in the second. In Minnesota, NFC Central battle, the Vikings trail Green Bay 13-10 as they approach halftime. In Cleveland, the Houston Oilers and the Cleveland Browns are at halftime, and the Oilers lead it 17-7. Browns fans, among the most loyal in all of sports, hoping Art Modell will not move the Browns to Baltimore. There was increased security at Cleveland Stadium amid bomb threats, which resulted in Art Modell missing his first home game in 25 years. On the Browns' opening possession, Eric Zier to Andre Rison for the touchdown. Rison's 500th career reception, 7-0 Browns. 7-3 Cleveland when Oilers quarterback Chris Chandler on the rollout found no one open, turned it up, took it in himself from 2 yards out, and Houston led 10-7. And then Chandler to Haywood Jeffries. This is good for 23 yards and a touchdown. At halftime, the Oilers lead it 17-7. Mike, they feeling some residual effects there in Cleveland about this probable move?
Well, I don't think it's that. I really think this is just a tough day in Cleveland for sports fans, for the Modell family. I think this is a very tough decision. I think he's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I think what's happened in the league now, the owners are trying to find ways that they can be competitive through making money. And this is what's happened to him. He feels that he can't survive in Cleveland going the way he's going. He's going to take the club and move to Baltimore. It's a sad day. Maybe it's a great day in Baltimore, but it's a sad day in Cleveland.
All right, Mike, 17-7 at halftime. In Atlanta, the Detroit Lions trail the Falcons 27-7 in the second. In New Orleans, the Saints and the Rams, it's a 3-point lead for New Orleans at halftime. And at the Meadowlands, the New York Jets are trailing New England at halftime by a score of 13-0. Bubby Brister making his 4th straight start as the Jets quarterback. Scoreless in the first. Patriots opening drive. Drew Bledsoe floats one up. Curtis Martin is there. 18-yard gain. Sets up a 41-yard field goal by Matt Barr. 3-0 Patriots. That was the score in the first. Brister, all kinds of problems. Buried by Chris Slade. Called for intentional grounding. Brister was later replaced by Glenn Foley. Patriots reach the end zone here on 4th and 1. Curtis Martin over the top for the touchdown. It is a 13-0 New England lead at halftime. Up next, we'll preview our doubleheader game between the Steelers and the Bears, and we'll get an update from Will McDonough on the Browns' move to Baltimore, as after a word from the NFL and these messages from your local station.
Back at Riverfront Stadium, getting ready for the third quarter with Oakland leading Cincinnati 17-3. Trump, pretty total domination both sides of the ball by the Raiders.
Yeah, no question about it. I think this was the Bengals' greatest fear, and they didn't want to put their quarterback or their offense in jeopardy. They had the first 3 drives were 3 plays and out. They score on their 4th, and then their last 3 drives of the first half, interception, interception, fumble. And that's what the Raiders can do to you.
Take a look at our Coors Light halftime stats now, reflecting the Raider domination of the first half.
The first down, Cincinnati got 1 by penalty, and that was their first down of the game. Rushing yards just 43. The 12 yards passing, I mean, this is a team that's averaged 260 a game. This was the league's best passing game going into last week and after last week. That'll change dramatically. Look at the time of possession for Oakland. 11-20 for Haas and 4 of 10 for Blake. I mean, Terry McDaniel has 2 interceptions, and the leading receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals is Eric Bieniemy with 2 receptions.
And Haas has found 7 different receivers, which is impressive.
And I think that is absolutely the biggest factor for the Raiders' success this year. He's going to stay healthier, and I think they're a bigger threat.
Haas, you remember in that first half, had a jammed left wrist, but came back to perform effectively. And we saw Jeff Blake there for a moment. It's been a nightmare first half for him, one of the worst of his young career. Bieniemy and Dunn, the deep man. Here's Jager's kick. David Dunn from the 7. Cuts it to the outside and turns on the speed. Tried to make a move and gets it to the 37-yard line before James Trapp, who can outrun just about everybody, takes him out of bounds. A 30-yard return.
Tom, we mentioned the first half possessions by the Bengals. 3 punts, a field goal, and then 3 straight turnovers. This is generally a pretty potent offense, but you can read headlines, stories, and watch tape, and a team can just send a chill down your spine. And the coach's choice to be very conservative here by the Bengals, certainly in the first half. Bruce Coslet, the offensive coordinator. It's not a choice I disagree with, because I'm telling you, this Raider team can just eat you alive if you let them.
Well, we'll see the offensive approach to the second half here. First down run by Harold Green. And Harold Green is to the 45. Tripped up by Derek Hoskins there. Let's see. It'll be close to the first down. A gain of about 9.
Same approach. That's the way the Bengals started. If you just came home from the beach.
The beach.
That's the way they started. This is billed as a down-the-field passing offense, but they've run the ball and thrown rather conservatively.
I hope you're talking about the California beach,
sure,
not the Ohio River beach.
No.
Blake slipped a little bit as he rolled out, and then he fires a strike to Darnay Scott. That one gains 12 yards. And another Bengal first down.
Decent protection here for Jeff Blake. Again on the roll to avoid the rush. Now moving the pocket to give him a little more chance. 31, King almost gets up there to knock the ball away, but the completion is made for the first down.
And maybe a confidence builder for Scott and Blake. Draw play handoff, the enemy. Flag down, that could be a face mask. Mike Jones, the tackle, and Joe King was there too, colliding with the enemy. Nope, it's going to be a hold against Cincinnati.
The side judge is usually assigned to the tight end or the covered offensive tackle on that side. It's one of the two. I hated side judges.
Had their eye on you all the time.
Holding during the run. Number 86 on the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
Darnay Scott. He must have been in tight. Not as a wide receiver for the side judge to see that call.
Darnay Scott, who, along with Marshall Faulk, was recruited at San Diego State as a defensive back. Blake got good protection, but nobody to throw to. Tries to scramble out of there and is banged down hard at about midfield by Rob Fredrickson.
You know, that hit on Jeff Blake last week seems to have changed him a little bit. Jeff Blake, before last week's game, Rob Burnett hit him right in the chest, really slammed him to the ground. He was not someone who would run quickly, but when he got out of the pocket, he was not afraid to make the move and doing it. That hit may have slowed him down a little bit. You know, it made him think about it. I can get hurt out here. These are big guys, and they're mad at me.
He was dazed after that hit. David Klingler came on to tie the game up for Cincinnati, send it into overtime. Then Blake returned. Eric Bieniemy, short gain. Fredrickson and Lewis, the tackle.
And another draw run by Cincinnati, again trying to avoid those big studs up front, Jerry Ball and Chester McLaughlin.
It'll be third down and long yardage coming up with Pickens, Dunn, and Scott. 3 wide receivers in the game for Cincinnati. Short drop. Blake's pass juggled but then caught by the tight end McGee. And short of the first down, the tackle by Mike Jones, who made sure McGee couldn't run for yardage after he made the catch.
And I see generally this offense, it's set up to make those conversions. I mean, Jeff Blake just settled for about a 6-yard completion there. Didn't really try for the first down.
Lee Johnson to punt. And Tim Brown awaiting. By Johnson, trying to down it deep, and a fair catch called for and made by Brown at the 7-yard line. 34-yard punt. Raiders with their first possession of the second half when we return to Cincinnati. Jeff Blake and the Bengals trailing 17-3 as Oakland has its first possession of the second half. They start from their own 9-yard line. And great field position in the first half with an average drive starting at their own 40. Backed up to the 9 here after the Lee Johnson punt. Harvey Williams gets the call on first down, and bottom of the stack for Cincinnati, Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson. 11 minutes remaining in the third as the Raiders dominating the first half, forcing Cincinnati to punt on its first possession of the second.
With the way the Raiders play defense, this offense does not have to do much. They've got great speed, but just don't turn the ball over, especially down here close to your own end zone. Be conservative here.
On the sweep, Harvey Williams. 16-yard line. Stop made by Darrell Williams, the free safety. Bad news for Raider fans with Kansas City. 17-3 all over the Redskins at halftime.
Yeah, Raiders with that 6-2 record, their 2 losses both in the division to Kansas City and Denver. So at some point in this season, they got some making up to do.
Still second down.
Penalty was what? I heard the back end of what Red Cashin said. But there was a 5-yard penalty there at second down and very, very short.
I never saw the flag.
I didn't either.
Harvey Williams. Another nice run. Harvey's having a fine afternoon in Cincinnati. Dodging, twisting, darting, picking up a first down.
Tom, this is very poor tackling at the point of attack. He's stopped at the line of scrimmage. Who is it? Artie Smith? No, it's not Artie Smith. At 95, Keith Rucker. He tried to block him to the ground. And when you play in the NFL, use your arms. Make the tackle.
Harvey did sort of a triple axel to get out of that.
Triple axel. Very good. Yes.
He has 86 yards rushing and tries to add to that with another tote of the football. James Francis with his 11th tackle of the game.
Oh, they have just controlled this defense. Harvey Williams, a young man that he admits that when he came to the Raiders, his attitude changed. He was kind of a guy who would he would boast and do all kinds of things in Kansas City. He got humbled when Kansas City got rid of him. He's a lot better person and a lot better player now.
And he gets the call again. Got away from one man in the backfield. Twisted down at the 35 by Artie Smith. Got only a yard that time.
You know, the Raiders have given this Riverfront Stadium no chance to cheer.
Eerily quiet, isn't it?
The biggest cheer so far has been for a 23-yard penalty on Albert Lewis. That's it. I mean, this is sold out, and these people are sitting quietly. Maybe they're all Cleveland Brown fans. They're still in shock.
Or maybe they're afraid this team is going to move to Cleveland.
I got franchises on wheels.
Training wheels. 3rd and 4. Flag down. Looks like the Bengals were offside. Hostetler flips it complete. And Cash out of bounds at the 45 of Cincinnati.
I think Todd Kelly, 98, was the guy who was offside, so the play is going to stand.
19-yard gain.
Number 98 on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
Now let's get personal again. Dan Turk, 67 on Dan Wilkinson. Pushes him right out of the way, and that's a lot to push too. 320 plus pounds. Nice play, Hostetler, to keep it alive and make it a first down.
Right in the middle, Harvey Williams. Williams finally tracked down by James Francis, but he picked up 13 yards and another Raider first down. This drive began all the way back at the Oakland 9, and they're moving steadily against this lowest ranked defense in the NFL.
Yeah, we're seeing so many different things too. You know, a little pass out in the flat, little outlet pass. Harvey Williams running the ball on the sweep, on the power straight ahead. Pass underneath to Harvey Williams. This is a beautifully orchestrated drive by Jeff Hostetler.
Football just short of the Cincinnati 30. Harvey Williams dancing for 3. Gracie Walker pins him. I didn't see yeah, there is a flag, and it's against Oakland. Flag is right on the 30-yard line. The players were all standing around it.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 78 on the offense. 10 yards, still first down.
Big Greg Skrepenak, who Skrepenak is right here. He's got his hands up there to the face. Yes, he's got it up in the face mask. Joe Bugle said that he worked with Skrepenak in the offseason, kind of retooled his setup, his approach, everything he wants to do. Could turn out to be a heck of an offensive lineman.
We talked about Pat Swilling being reborn with the Raiders. Joe Bugle, too, huh?
Yes, absolutely, and loves it.
Napoleon Kaufman across the 40-yard line, hit by John Copeland. Both the Raiders and the Bengals taking running backs with their first-round draft picks this season. Kajana Carter, of course, the Bengals' choice, tore up his knee in the preseason.
You talked about Joe Bugle, best known as Boss Hogg when he was with the Redskins. But this guy is first and foremost a teacher. And he's got his way of doing things, and he's seldom had an offensive line who has not played well.
2nd and 18. Swing pass complete to Derek Fenner to the 32-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down. Rod Jones on the stop.
There's Al Davis. He's the guy who put it all together. After a 9-7 season last year, probably had to do his most difficult thing, and that is get rid of, I think, the Raiders, one of their greatest players, Art Shell, as a head coach. There were cliques, there were problems all over the place. The Raiders players quit on Art Shell. But he hires Mike White, elevates him to the head coach, and pretty much turned it over to Mike White. So you do what you want. I'll make suggestions. I'll send you faxes, tapes, but you do what you want.
Pressure on Hostetler. Got the ball away and incomplete, intended for the Rocket.
Ismail floated on that pattern. He's got to come back for the football. That's an easy completion.
Corey Sawyer on the defense for Cincinnati.
He should be mad at himself. He's got a big cushion here, but watch, he just floats right into Sawyer. The Rocket knows better than that. Rocket knows better than that. If he cuts that corner cleanly, Hostetler makes the completion.
We were talking with Jim Fossil, asking him if these fleet wide receivers of the Raiders were hard to convince that the control offense was the way to go, and he said not at all. 50-yard field goal attempt. Jaeger hit the upright. No good.
Here in Riverfront Stadium finally have something to cheer about.
Jaeger just misses from 50. It would have been his longest of the season. It bounces off the upright, and the score remains Oakland 17, Cincinnati 3. Jeff Blake, who has been a sensation all season, having his worst game and needs to get untracked if the Bengals are going to have a chance. Still 17-3. His favorite target, Carl Pickens, shut out so far today. Faked the play action pass. He got rid of it just barely, and McGee blasted out of bounds for his trouble by Derek Hoskins, with Andre Bruce being the man in the face of Jeff Blake.
Bengals call this a keeper. Here's Bruce right here. He's supposed to be influenced by something, is not by anything, and just slams Blake to the ground. And the catch goes for what? Maybe 10 inches on the gain?
If that.
28 yards today.
Draw handoff to Bieniemy. Stopped short of the 45 by Jerry Ball and Chester McLaughlin. Now let's go back to Greg Gumbel in New York with another NFL on NBC Update.
All right, Tom, once again, we'll take you to Cleveland. Chris Chandler of the Oilers having a good day. 15 yards out. Malcolm Sebring, the official says he got both feet down before he went out of bounds in the third quarter. The Oilers over the Browns 24-10, Tom.
All right, Greg, 24-10. Could things get any worse in Cleveland this weekend?
Yeah, well, certain disregard for the players out there on the field with all that's happened around that franchise. Browns are a lot better team than being beat 24-10 by Houston.
False start before the ball snapped. Number 8 came out from under the center without the ball. Third down. It's 5-yard penalty.
That's the kind of day it's been for Jeff Blake.
Watch when he moves. He's got to get the snap count here, but he starts rocking back, and look at that defensive line. Off on the ball. Man.
It's like the tide coming in. They just 0 for 3 on 3rd and long. Blake whips it down the side for Scott. And Scott turns defensive back to prevent Hoskins from picking off one.
And that was just a desperation throw. I mean, Ken Anderson last week said that one thing he likes about Jeff Blake, he knows when not to throw it downfield. Well, watch the coverage here. Darnay Scott basically floating. Hoskins is back there. Excellent coverage. And Scott does a good job making sure that one's not intercepted. So this is not the way this Bengal offense has looked throughout this season. And this is certainly not the way Jeff Blake has played throughout this season.
4th down, Lee Johnson for the 5th punt of the day. This AFC Central is something, with Houston beating up on Cleveland, and anybody can win it, including Jacksonville. The way things look. Tim Brown from the 13. Hit down hard at about the 17-yard line by Sam Shade. A 4-yard return of a 47-yard Lee Johnson punt. 17-3. Just over 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, and Cincinnati, averaging 362 yards a game, has managed only 90 to this point, and Carl Pickens, the leading receiver in the AFC, shut out today. No catches, and you see the total yardage heavily in favor of the Raiders, and Jeff Blake continues to struggle.
Yeah, you saw Pickens on the sideline. He has played. He has been on the field. He looks very comfortable in his stocking cap and his windbreaker there on the sideline.
Raiders take over at their own 16-yard line. Napoleon Kaufman, the rookie from Washington, nearly broke free. Dragged down from behind by James Francis. Look at the smile. He knows he was a step away.
Yeah, you know, this kid was in high school. He was recruited by USC, Colorado, Nebraska, Washington. When those 4 teams line up, knock on your door, he made trips to all 4 places, chose Washington. That is a quality high school running back. Those organizations don't go for the 2nd best running back in the state. They go for the best.
Lompoc, California.
Yeah, north of California, Lompoc. Very good, Tom.
Prep All-American there, and won the state 100 and 200. Here's why. Well, you nearly saw that breakaway speed. Gracie Walker saved a touchdown from Kaufman that time.
And a lot of people have tried to discourage Kaufman from all of his weightlifting, because a lot of coaches say, you know, you'll get tight, you'll get muscle pulls, muscle spasms. As a freshman at Washington, he played quite a bit. Started getting banged up, and he said, to heck with that, I'm going back to lift the weights. Says he is got a 420-pound bench press. That's some pretty serious bench press.
Huskies all-time leading rusher, over 4,000 yards. There he is again. Not much for him that time, only a couple of yards before Brett Wallerstedt makes the stop. But Kaufman, among the best rookie rushers in the National Football League, with 301 yards coming in. And of course, no Kajana Carter for the Cincinnati Bengals, injured in the preseason. And everyone thinks that Kajana Carter, though, is the real thing. There is an injured Bengal on the play. It looks like it's Rico McDonald, or no, Keith Rucker. So while they tend to Keith Rucker, we'll take a break. Kaufman and the Raiders up 17-3. Keith Rucker being helped from the field.
Looks like he might have injured his knee something, but he's up and walking. The bad news is he got blown off the ball about 7 yards by Dan Turk, and that's where the injury took place. Not good for a defensive tackle.
It'll be 2nd down and 9 for the Raiders with the ball at the Oakland 38-yard line. Their domination of the game continues. Hostetler. Nice catch made across the middle on the crossing pattern. And Hostetler again takes a hit, this time from Andre Collins just after he let go of the football. Darryl Hobbs on the reception.
Boy, Tom, Andre Collins had about a 9-yard run. Watch him going to come from the left-hand side of the screen, right, full speed chest, right in the chest.
Oh,
Andre Collins. Goodness. And again, Hostetler, always been considered one of the real tough guys, stands in there and makes the throw.
There's Collins, who got the hit in his 6th season from Penn State. 3rd down pass, Hostetler in the flat, fumbled football. Fenner got it back. Corey Sawyer knocked it loose on the hit, but Fenner was able to fall on it to prevent the turnover and give Gossett a chance to punt.
Again, going to the outlet receiver. I thought Jeff gave up on that downfield pattern just a little too quickly there. But you're leading 17-3. You don't take chances.
Well, for all their domination, they still just have a 17-3 lead. Eric Bieniemy was back to accept this punt from Gossett. Sails his way at the 18. Surrounded and knocked down at the 28-yard line. That was a 10-yard return of a 45-yard punt. Time for the Bengals to try to get some offense. Hostetler continues to take a beating, but his team, the Raiders, leading the Bengals 17-3.
Working to be the best. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army.
Let's have a fun, let's have a fun.
This season, the Bengals' fun is Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott streaking downfield to haul in long touchdown passes.
Down the near sideline, he's got a man free. It's Rams at 5. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
Blake to throw. He fires. Pickens makes the catch.
Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott help make the Bengals the best they can be.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I.
From this day forward, you will be the most important part of the toughest, strongest, smartest army in the world. You will be a soldier. Where else can you be all this and earn this? $30,000 for college. Be all that you can be.
We're all in search of answers.
(17-3) with 49 ticks left on the clock for quarter number 3 at Riverfront Stadium. A little ray of sunshine peeking through, but it's been mostly a cloudy day for Dave Shula. Their high-powered passing game completely shut off by the Oakland Raider defense. Harold Green. Gain of 3. Jerry Ball, the tackle, with help from Austin Robbins.
Bengals have tried to run the ball desperately today. Their last 100-yard rushing performance was by Harold Green in 1992 against New England in December. That's how poor a running team this Cincinnati franchise has been. That's why they drafted Kajana Carter.
That was the year Green gained 1,170 yards, but never returned to that sort of season. Bieniemy made one move to get close to the sticks. Rob Fredrickson wraps him up. It'll be close to first down yardage. Bieniemy's third catch of the game. And the third quarter will come to a close with the Raiders leading the Bengals 17-3. We'll be back to Riverfront Stadium after these words from your local station. Bengal fans lost their heads early over the success of this team. But today has not been a good day for Jeff Blake and the Bengals. A lot of close games they play. They've won only 3, but they've been in every game and trail here by 14, but it's been Raider domination. They needed a foot on 3rd down, and Cothran may or may not have gotten it.
Well, that was Beekert 54, Fredrickson 53, the 2 linebackers. And I'm telling you, Cothran barely got that ball when both those linebackers were there, and the choice, go for the punt. Look, the Bengals in the month of November have 4 conference games, this being one of them, 3 division games. They need 2 wins. I don't think they felt they were going to get one here. I think they're saving this team for the next 3 weeks. And I frankly don't blame them. They're not in the Raiders league.
Whistle will blow it dead before Johnson can get the punt away, and it'll be delay a game against Cincinnati. And the loudest noise we've heard today have been the boos for the penalty, and just before that for deciding to punt on 4th down in less than a yard.
And probably the same group that left last week early.
Delay by the offense, still 4th down.
Cincinnati has had 10 possessions in the game, and 5 of them have been 3 and out. It's a fake. Bieniemy on the direct snap. He's got the 1st down and more. All the way to the Raider 42-yard line. 26-yard gain on the fake.
Well, they had to do something.
Yeah.
1, to ignite the team, give them some feeling that maybe we can do something. 2, to ignite the crowd. It's certainly easy, and it's there.
A nice block from David Dunn downfield. Eric Ball, the former Bengal, had to make the tackle, and Bruce Coslett pulling one out of his bag of tricks.
Except I think Joe Wessel, the special teams coach, makes that call, not the offensive coordinator. Brucey would like the credit, especially today.
Eric Bieniemy. 3-yard gain there. Well, we had a burst of excitement, and on that, we'll send it back to New York. Greg Gumbel in another update.
All right, Tom, at the Meadowlands, the New England Patriots continue to roll. Curtis Martin from 9 yards out finds his way into the end zone. His 7th rushing touchdown of the season. The Patriots leading the Jets. They're just starting the 4th quarter, 20-0, Tom.
All right, Greg. Mike White and the Raiders up 17-3, but seeing Cincinnati with a little spark here in the 4th quarter. On the fake punt, 26-yard run by Bieniemy. Jeff Blake, arm hit as he let it go, still caught. David Dunn was in the right spot at the right moment and will be a yard short of the 1st down. Pat Swilling, you remember, knocked the ball free from Blake. A fumble that was converted into 3 points in the 1st half nearly happened again.
You see Swilling come around the corner, just swipes his arm around Joe Walter, and then gets pulled down, talks to the ref. The completion is made. Well, this Raider pass rush is extraordinary, isn't it?
3rd down and a yard. Blake's going to throw for it, and it's hit at the line of scrimmage and knocked down by Andre Bruce, or let's see, it was Bruce, number 99.
And David Dunn was wide open. Blake had a couple of passes knocked down last week, but with the motion, you hope to influence Andre Bruce. He's down, blocked by Joe Walters, sees it coming, knocks it away. David Dunn goes for the 1st down, and again, they go for it on 4th down, Tom.
4th down and a yard. I formation in the backfield. Play action. Blake's pass on target, caught by Pickens, his 1st catch of the day. 1st down, Cincinnati at the 11-yard line.
Now you see a little life in this offense.
22-yard gain, Carl Pickens.
He's matched up against Terry McDaniel, He looks back. Excellent move. Comes back for the football. Makes sure of the catch. His first of the day, as you said. When the Bengals can't consistently get the ball to Carl Pickens, they have very little offense.
Boy, made a quick break on that, didn't he, to get free. 9th play of the Cincinnati drive. A couple of key conversions on 4th down. Blake's pass right off Pickens that time. Looked like the ball got into his pads and bounced away.
It looked like he stumbled, and he couldn't really right himself and get his hands up there to make the catch. As the Raiders sideline is saying, wait a minute, we had this team in complete control, then you're telling me they're going to run on 4th down? This is an awful good defense on any part of the field, and it's an exceptional defense inside the 20.
Second down from the Raider 11. The enemy got a yard to the 10. Andre Bruce collapsed him.
A few boos here. I mean, the best play they've had all day long has been the draw. Well, why are they booing a draw call there?
Well, let's see if they keep the enemy limping off. They've gotten 48 yards on 4th down in this drive. 26 on the fake punt and 22 on the Pickens 4th down reception. Dave Shula's hoping they don't have to go to 4th down this time.
Really.
Blake chased away, fires for the end zone, incomplete. David Dunn crossing at the back of the end zone, the intended receiver. And it will be 4th down. Andre Bruce was bearing down on Jeff Blake.
He reluctantly, David Shula reluctantly says, all right, take the field goal. He wanted to try something, but when you've got 4th and 9, you don't have a play in the book for that. 10:33 to go.
But not happy, as you see. As you said, a reluctant choice of the field goal, a 28-yarder for Doug Pelfrey. Pelfrey hit from 45 earlier. And he boots it through. But the fans still not happy. Couldn't get the touchdown, and it's 17-6. This close. A chill wind has blown through Riverfront Stadium today from the west, the Oakland Raiders. 17-6 now after the Cincinnati field goal. Be aware of an onside kick try here. They executed it beautifully against Cleveland last week to help send the game into overtime. Kick it away, though, does Lee Johnson. Napoleon Kaufman. Kaufman breaks it to the outside and stopped at the 35-yard line by Kevin Jefferson. 27-yard return. Exciting rookie Napoleon Kaufman.
Now I think you get a chance to see the Oakland Raiders here with all the running game they can possibly muster. 10:18 to go, 17-6. Jeff Hostetler has been hammered several times today. They've had some protection breakdowns. I would think that Harvey Williams would go over 100 yards in this drive. He's going to get a chance.
The lone setback. The center on a wing to the left. Harvey Williams nowhere to go there. Did a little juke step and got to the outside before Bracy Walker traps him. With just over 10 minutes to go, we'll check in once again with Greg Gumbel with an update.
All right, Tom, in Cleveland, the Oilers putting just about the cap on a bad day for the Browns and their fans. Blaine Bishop steps in front of an Eric Zier pass. He goes 62 yards down the sideline with the extra point. The Oilers in control, 37-10 over the Browns. Tom?
Well, that'll be remembered as a dark day in Cleveland sports history, won't it? Not only the outcome of the game, but with the word that it's all but a done deal of the Browns moving to Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know when ownership began to just disregard fans and players, but there's evidence. I mean, this franchise is certainly toying with the idea of do what we want or else. And it's become a fad in the NFL. There's no other way to put it. It's a fad. Everybody's trying it. All of the old owners in the NFL are trying it. Or second-generation owners are trying it. It's certainly not healthy. There's Mike Brown, the general manager of the Bengals, son of Paul Brown. Pete Brown, his brother, sitting to his left. This is an ugly time in the NFL, in my estimation.
Short, you see, of the needed yardage for the first down, but with that last carry, Harvey Williams has gone over the century mark. 19 carries, 103 yards on the day. Well, the Raiders did their own move.
Yeah, and you know who was one of the biggest complainers? Art Modell. He constantly harangued against Al Davis moving from Oakland to Los Angeles the first time. He was the most vocal.
Williams has the first down. Plows his way for 2 or 3. Brent Walterstead hanging on to make the tackle.
Now, last couple of weeks now for the Bengals. Last week, the Browns rushed for 179 yards. The Raiders have pretty much run the ball at will today. Not big chunks, but just whenever in doubt, they've run the ball. This defense started out, beginning of this season, very good against the run.
153 yards today against the Cincinnati defense.
That's Larry Peccatello, the defensive coordinator. Of course, now the Bengals offense hasn't really given this defense much of a rest today.
Play action fake. Hostetler on target. Catch made by Tim Brown. Diving attempt and then covered by Corey Sawyer. Gain of 13 yards, and Tim has 4 catches for 68 on the day.
And one of the problems, look at that cushion. Corey Sawyer starts out a good 8 or 10 yards away from Tim Brown. Brown comes back to the football. I like to see that.
That's what Jim Fossil was saying. With the cushion these receivers get because of their great speed, they're able to get so many more catches with this controlled passing game.
Yeah, and have they tried one deep down the field today? Do you remember one?
A couple, I think, but not many.
Just a threat.
Williams tripped up behind the line of scrimmage and pinned for a loss by John Copeland.
And you know, Tom, another point about this new system now that the Raiders are employing, it's a lot easier on offensive linemen to know going into the game that you're not going to have to pass protect for a quarterback 50 attempts a game. If you've got 50 runs a game, your offensive linemen love what you're doing because it's much easier to run block than it is pass block all day long.
Hostetler has put the ball up 27 times today. His intended receiver that time, incomplete. Rocket Ismail, the intended receiver, coverage by Rod Jones. Don't forget game 2 of the doubleheader coming up next on most of these NBC stations. Most of you will see Pittsburgh against Chicago from Soldier Field, the surprising Bears and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers able to take over first place in the Central with Cleveland losing to Houston, and Cincinnati apparently is going to lose to Oakland, barring a dramatic turnaround. Some of you will see the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts in an Eastern Division battle. On third, Hostetler steps up and it's intercepted. Picked off by Bracy Walker. Knocked out of bounds at the Bengal 47-yard line by Darrell Hobbs. Oakland turnover. Bracy Walker steps in front of Hobbs to pick it off. Back at Riverfront Stadium, where Jeff Hostetler has just thrown the interception. First bad choice he's made all day, really. 17-6 Raiders. Blake setting up the screen to the enemy. Got away from one man and a second. Now in the open field, dragged down at the 38-yard line by Derek Hoskins. And Blake a little slow getting up. McLaughlin hit him as he released the ball. Gain of 14.
well sold by Cincinnati. He allows a certain amount of pressure, and Chester McLaughlin knocks him to the ground. Bieniemy, I didn't think screens would work with all their linebacker single coverage, but Bieniemy made a great run out of it for that pickup.
From the 38 of Oakland, first down, pitch to Bieniemy. Made a stop-start move to get away from a man in the backfield and takes it right back to the line of scrimmage. Ball and McLaughlin stopped him there. He was lucky to get back to the line.
It sure was. And 91 Chester McLaughlin, 93 Jerry Ball, both over there at the sideline. I mean, you got two defensive tackles, 320 pounds, so don't just play a little pitcher's mound area at defensive tackle. They run sideline to sideline to make the tackles. I think that's one of the reasons why Chester is an all-pro.
Here in the fourth quarter, it's been Eric Bieniemy at running back. Haven't seen Harold Green. No report of an injury, but there's Pickens with a catch. Carl Pickens has a first down. He's to the 26-yard line. Caught that one against Albert Lewis.
Looks like Blake wants his team back to the line of scrimmage. A little hurry up here, try to lock the Raiders into a certain defensive set, take advantage of it.
And McLaughlin and Ball go out. Draw play. Bieniemy spun away from the first man. Gets 4 yards. Ridden down there by Austin Robbins. Now less than 5 minutes to play.
And they go back in the huddle.
They have all their timeouts left. Blake was behind his man, David Dunn.
Pressure again. This time Anthony Smith makes Blake throw it just a little prematurely, which results in the incompletion. He has been pressured enough. Sometimes you don't even have to hit a quarterback but from the top of the screen. Anthony Smith, 94, makes Blake just adjust a little bit. Can't really square himself, set his feet to throw properly behind Dunn.
There's the day Blake has had, 11 of 22, 2 interceptions. Looking for a rare conversion on 3rd and long, and he's hit. Pat Swilling again, and that's the 4th sack of Jeff Blake.
And that first guy wasn't open. He's looking at the second guy, and Swilling is right on his back.
Second sack of the day for Pat Swilling, who has 7 on the season, 93.5 for his career. Timeout Cincinnati with a 4th down coming up. Back at Riverfront Stadium, Doug Pelfrey setting up to attempt a 48-yard field goal. He's 2 for 2 on the day. And he's got it. Pelfrey from 48 yards. And now Cincinnati is within a touchdown and 2-point conversion of tying the game. There's Doug Pelfrey. Grew up about 10 minutes from Riverfront Stadium in Edgewood, Kentucky. Lee Johnson looks to be setting up for an onside kick after Pelfrey's 3rd field goal, and the Raiders are expecting it. Good hands team on the field. He fools everybody and kicks it away to the Rockets at the 9. They had the angle on him, or it could have been disastrous for Cincinnati. Roger Jones finally had the angle and chased him down.
Yeah, he does stay in bounds. Either change of possession, the clock is going to stop, but Rocket knows keep it in bounds. He breaks left first and then comes back right there. There's nobody there. And yeah, another one of those real speed guys for the Raiders.
36-yard return. So now the Raiders try to work on the clock. Just 3:58 left. They're up 17-9. Harvey Williams, the workhorse, breaks it to the outside. Now one-on-one with a defender. Corey Sawyer still on his feet and taken down inbounds at the 35-yard line. 21-yard run, one of the best of the day for Harvey Williams, who is well over 100 yards now.
And again, he sees that sideline. That's no-no. Stay in bounds. Keep the clock running. 126 yards rushing now for Harvey Williams. Point of attack closed and closed well. Keeps bouncing. Good blocking on the backside by the Raiders offense. Nice move there on Sawyer. I'm not going out of bounds. That probably saved the Raiders, or at least ate up another 30 to 40 seconds off the clock, Tom.
Harvey Williams has had a real good game for the Raiders. Gets the call again, tripped up after a short gain by Artie Smith. And Cincinnati will stop the clock with a timeout. 3:05 showing on the clock.
I don't think the Raiders coaching staff will sit down and look at this tape and say, you know, we did a great job offensively. They've been fair. They've missed some open receivers. Hostetler has been banged quite a bit, but the one thing they've done today is run the ball for 180 yards. And that will produce a lot of wins for you.
Cincinnati down to one timeout now. And don't forget, coming up next here on NBC, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see a battle of great football traditions as the hard-hitting Pittsburgh Steelers defense takes on the surprising firepower of the Chicago Bears offense. That's coming up next on most of these NBC stations. Check your local listings. 3:05 left. 17-9 Raiders. Play action pass. Hostetler streaking for the end zone. Jet and incomplete. Roger Jones was with the speedster James Jett, who wanted a call, wanted a flag, and got none.
One-man pattern. They had two tight ends. Total blocking for Jeff Hostetler is just James Jett on Jones. I don't blame him for trying against these corners. Everybody else has. Everybody else has succeeded. Hostetler just underthrew it ever so slightly. Jett had to slow down and adjust. And then Jones was able to knock it away.
It was underthrown by Hostetler, and then Jett still saw it go between his hands. So a missed opportunity for Oakland to put the game away. Third down. Draw play, Williams. 28-yard line short of the first down. The tackle by Rico McDonald.
Well, now you got a tough choice if you're Mike White. What do you do here? Take a field goal, chance of a block. You go for it on fourth down, pooch punt. I mean, the Bengals taking a timeout gives them a chance to kind of collect themselves and make the right decision. Let's see, the ball is at, what did you say, Tom, the 28?
So that would be, what, a 45-yard field goal.
Certainly in Jager's range, although he's missed one.
That was 37 that hit the crossbar, as I recall. Or was that a 50-yarder? While we have a moment, we remind you that next Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, NBC's golf tour travels to China for the World Cup of Golf. Fred Couples, Davis Love III look for a record 4th consecutive victory against 31 of the world's best two-man teams. Next Saturday, World Cup of Golf, presented by Heineken here on NBC.
That's a long way to go for golf, isn't it? Beijing, China.
So a 46-yard field goal. Jager made one from 37, missed from 50. And this one is good. So Jeff Jager, 46 yards out, hits the field goal on fourth down. Vince Evans likes it, and so do the Raiders.
Tom, he hit that one solid. That was way up the crossbars. That was good from over 55 yards. You can almost hear the thump. Good snap, spots done well. He knew immediately he hit it that strong.
Yeah, he blasted it through, and he likes the look of that one. That was a 50-yarder that hit the crossbar, hit the upright earlier.
I mean, that's quite a ways up those crossbars.
Yeah, it has plenty of leg on this one. So with 2:46 left now, the Raiders go up 20-9. A workmanlike game for the Raiders, as you noted, nothing spectacular. They face another cold weather road game next week as they travel to the Meadowlands to face the New York Giants.
I think the Raiders can win a lot of games just like this. Your defense just scare the offense to death that you're playing. Offense play good, not great, win.
David Dunn. Gang tackled at the 30 with Carl Kidd first to arrive on the scene. Well, one thing you have to admire about the Raiders' offense today has been their balance. Rushed 33 times for 184 yards, and Hostetler able to pass for 178.
And didn't Mike White tell us he was looking for better balance in the offense? I mean, there were times in the last couple of years where Hostetler might throw it 50 times.
But I know you've been raving all week about their defense, especially up front, and they were up to billing today. Swilling especially has been all over Jeff Blake. And again, completes the pass out of the backfield to Bieniemy to the 40-yard line, tackled by Rob Fredrickson.
Yeah, this defense has just basically taken the Cincinnati Bengals totally out of what they do. I mean, totally. They have tried very few passes down the field. No timing for Jeff Blake whatsoever to really set his feet and throw. Here comes Swilling again.
McGee with a catch for a first down. Blake got away from Swilling by stepping up just at the right moment. A 12-yard gain as we come to the 2-minute warning. We'll take a break with 2 minutes left. It's 20-9, Oakland. 2 minutes remaining. Cincinnati right up to the line and ready to go. Blake whips it in the direction of Pickens. Short hopped him and incomplete. So if things don't change, the AFC Central standings will look like this, with Pittsburgh still to play at Chicago in the second game of our doubleheader. And look at that, everybody. Jacksonville and Cincinnati with 3 wins. Cleveland and Houston with 4, and Pittsburgh pending. Now, some of you may see the Buffalo-Indianapolis game, which will impact the AFC Eastern Division standings. Buffalo and Indianapolis tied 5-3 coming in. Blake going for the end zone. And broken up, intended for David Dunn. Good defense by Terry McDaniel, who already has 2 interceptions today. So you see the importance of the games coming up. Most of you will see Pittsburgh against Chicago. Others will see Buffalo against Indianapolis. Check your local listings for the game in your area.
We did the Buffalo-Indianapolis game up in Buffalo. Indy's already got one up on Buffalo in 1995. That was
the game in which Buffalo got well, wasn't it, when they turned their season around?
Yeah, that's right.
Blake again under pressure, taken down as he let the pass go, and it's incomplete. Andre Bruce was all over him that time, and there's the coach of the defensive line, Floyd Peters. He likes it, and why wouldn't he? He's had some tough duty over the years. When he was a San Francisco State University player, they played a game against the San Quentin team. Now, we don't know their nickname, but the San Quentin team. Then as a sophomore, he took a job there in the summertime as the night recreation director, and he wore a jacket that said coach on it, and he coached their football team. They locked him in at night just like an inmate. Spent all his time there, and here's Pickens with a first down catch from Blake and tackled by Fredrickson. Here's what I like best of all about Peters. When he coached that San Quentin team, his fullback name was Knuckles O'Neal. And he had a tight end, Second Story Dan, and it wasn't because he was tall, it's because he had a penchant for robbing second-story apartments.
One of the game's great characters is Blake scrambles around here.
And he's out of bounds. And then a flag for a late hit. 17-yard gain plus the penalty as he comes up a little gimpy. Greg Biekert was the man that drew the flag with the late hit.
He drew several flags. Jones, 52, chasing him. Biekert.
Personal foul.
No
Unnecessary roughness. Number 54 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Now, if you find players for hitting quarterbacks in the head with their helmet, why don't you find them for that?
Right. Good point. Well, it remains the best offensive play of the day for Cincinnati was the 26-yard fake punt run by Eric Bieniemy. But the Bengals have the ball now at about just inside the 7-yard line with 1:14 left. 1st and goal. Blake with the roll and the keep to the 4. Twisted down by Jerry Ball.
That was a run all the way. There was no receiver even in the pattern, Tom.
And kept in bounds as we come to the 1-minute mark. James Joseph into the game. Bengals out of timeouts. Took them a long time to get this play ready to go. Corner of the end zone. And nothing doing there. McDaniel had coverage on Pickens. That's the Bengals' favorite play. And Pickens' string of consecutive games with touchdown catches is in jeopardy.
Definitely is. And he is their goal line receiver. I mean, under all circumstances, Jeff Blake and Carl Pickens on the goal line seem to have this mystical connection. Pickens tells him, just throw it up there. I'll get it.
3rd and goal. Blake rifles it and complete to Pickens. The string is alive. He beat Albert Lewis for the touchdown. David Shula saying stay out there for the 2-point conversion.
They're not giving up, and this is a nice slant pattern run by Carl Pickens. Albert Lewis was the man in coverage. Pickens gets both feet down. Good accurate throw by Jeff Blake. That's the way Jeff has looked previous in this season.
Hang it up there, and the interference call, David Dunn. Albert Lewis will get called for it. Cincinnati has not succeeded on a 2-point conversion this season, 0 for 2. Interference call.
So they'll get another chance at it.
Pass interference. Contact was made while the ball was in the air. After assistance to the goal, we'll repeat the try.
Sounds like Red's a little cold out
The
there.
lips get cold down there.
That happens to announcers too, doesn't it?
Carl Pickens with the touchdown catch has scored in 8 or 9 games now, all but Tampa Bay.
Shula is wanting 4 seconds put back on the clock. He just motioned 4 seconds. Yeah.
Thank you.
Red Cashin got the 4 seconds back. 39 left.
Blake and the Bengals down by 5, and again lining up for the 2-point conversion after the ball moved to the 1. It's like an option. Blake capped and scored the 2-point conversion.
He looked pretty good doing that,
yeah,
too.
He did. The pitch was open, too, I believe. Well, just as the sun makes its appearance at Riverfront, the Bengals pull within a field goal, 39 seconds left.
When he was at East Carolina, part of what they did offensively was run the option. When he first got there, Kevin Gilbride was his offensive coordinator, and they tried the option. They realized this kid was such a great thrower of the football, they kind of discarded the option and just went to a pro-style offense, but that was very nicely executed by Jeff Blake.
With the touchdown pass to Pickens, he has a touchdown, 2 interceptions. He's hit 16 of 31, 160 yards. Well, the Bengals had a miracle finish to send the game into overtime last week. Can they do it again? Both kickers are out there, Pelfrey and Johnson. has meant onside
Yes,
kick,
it
right?
has. You're absolutely correct. They can both do it. And the Bengals, 4 of their 5 losses have been by 3 points this season. And they trail by 3 now.
Well, they got their hands team out there again, the Raiders do, expecting the onside kick. Now, Pelfrey and Johnson lined up in tandem. Which one is going to kick it? Pelfrey. Up for grabs, and Fenner wraps it up. And now a fight and a flag. Derek Fenner, the former Bengal, made sure he wrapped up the kick.
Tom, that's the same kind of kick that Pelfrey executed last week against Cleveland, down into the ground, get that big high hop. It worked against Cleveland because there was no Cleveland player who went after the football. They were all blocking. Fenner this time goes after it. No matter what happens, the Raiders get the ball here with 39 seconds left.
In Cincinnati, no timeouts.
Unnecessary roughness, number 31 on the Bengals. He is ejected from the game. Unnecessary roughness, number 54 on the Raiders. The penalties offset after the ball was dead. It's first down and 10.
Greg Biekert of the Raiders and Darrell Williams of the Bengals.
All right there in the corner of the screen, a push and a shove, and one is ejected, one is not.
Williams ejected, Biekert not.
Well, that cost Darrell some money when you're ejected from an NFL game.
Well, it's been another tough loss for Cincinnati. Look at that.
3, 3, 3, overtime 3, and 3 here. But look, there's no way other to put this. This 3-point loss, no indication of this game. None.
The Raiders dominated everywhere but the scoreboard. And thanks to a mediocre Central Division, the Bengals not out of the race with the loss. They're still right in the hunt. Bengals will play at Houston, trying to avenge an earlier loss to the Oilers next week, while Harvey Williams and Hostetler and the Raiders travel to play the New York Giants. So again, the final score, the Raiders 20 and the Bengals 17. Coming up next, second half of our NFL on NBC doubleheader. Most of you will see the Steelers take on the Bears in Chicago. Now this is Tom Hammond along with Bob Trumpy saying so long from Riverfront Stadium. You've been watching the NFL on NBC, home of Super Bowl 30. So long, everybody.